Over half of all Pokemon in existence stand at 1 meter tall or below, and over 200 of them are available in Pokemon Emerald. But this isn't your typical Pokemon Emerald. This is Emerald Mini, a ROM hack by King Crady that reimagines Hoenn as a charming miniature version of itself. And it is in this scaled down region that I will be attempting a Nuzlocke challenge using only mini Pokemon. If any of my Pokemon faint, they will be considered dead forever. And I can only catch the first Pokemon I find in each area whose height is 1 meter or below. Without any further ado, let's begin our pint-sized journey through... Wow, they weren't kidding about everything being smaller, huh? I guess it's called Littler Root Town now. Right off the bat, we have to make a very important decision that will shape this entire run. See, we won't be able to evolve any of the starter Pokemon we pick into their final forms, since they're all too tall. This means we'll need to base our decision on the value each starter can provide in the early to mid game. That is why, considering his good matchups against Roxanne, Watson, and Flannery, I ultimately decide to recruit Alfred the Mudkip into our ranks. By the way, my player character is Aleer, the Divine Dragon. I've been playing a lot of Fire Emblem Engage recently. Alfred the Mudkip is no slouch though. He's got a plus attack naughty nature, so he crushes the wild Zigzagoon with ease. He's got more important things on his mind, such as his dream of seeing the beautiful flowers in Evergrande City. Don't worry buddy, we'll get you there for sure. We now head north of Oldale Town to meet Wally. Yeah, May just straight up doesn't exist in this timeline, with Wally taking her place as the sole rival of Emerald Mini. His only Pokemon is a cute little Ralts though, so this battle should be a breeze. Are you freaking kidding me? Welcome to attempt 2. Alfred has a lax nature now, and we managed to defeat Wally's stupid Ralt with a terrible haircut this go around. We then receive some Pokeballs for our trouble, which means we now need to address the route situation. In Emerald Mini, sections of the map are divided based on towns and cities. For example, Route 102, Petalburg City, and Route 104 are all grouped under one location called Petalburg. However, I will be treating encounter areas the same as in base game Emerald, so taking the same example, this would be 3 separate areas, not one. With that out of the way, we can finally expand our barracks. We recruit Saline the Wurmple on Route 101, Chloe the Marill on Route 102, Panette the Poochyena on Route 103, and Kagetsu the Taillow on Route 104. Chloe has a minus attack nature and thick fat instead of huge power, earning her the honor of being the first bench occupant. Everyone else though, they're along for the long haul. I'm keeping a close eye on Panette the Poochyena though, since the actual Panette is my absolute favorite character from Engage. I initially hesitated to bestow her name upon a freaking Poochyena, but the aesthetic fit was just too perfect. I've got high expectations for you, Pooch. All you need to do is land a critical hit every other attack, and you might live up to your namesake. In Petalburg Woods, we encounter a Shroomish, but I accidentally KO'd it. The same does not happen to the Nincada we find on Route 116, who we named Zelkov, rounding out our team of Divine Dragon Faithful. But before we battle Roxanne, I have a hard truth to tell all of you about not just our current team, but the future of this entire run. Most of our encounters are gonna suck. See, when you restrict yourself to only using Pokemon 1 meter tall or under, you end up cutting off most of the final evolutions, or middle evolutions for that matter. That's how you end up with what I like to call dead-end Pokemon. Pokemon that are dead weights upon capture or will become dead weights later in the run, because they won't be allowed to evolve and get stronger. There's a staggering amount of Pokemon that fall under this category. In fact, we only have 32 eligible Pokemon that can fully evolve or have no evolution line, and that's not factoring in shared encounter areas or the fact that those 32 Mons include some absolute heaters like Luvdisc and Bacargo. I bring this up now because Saline is about to evolve, and who she becomes is crucial. If Saline evolves into Silcoon, she is free to evolve into the 1 meter tall Beautifly later, but if she evolves into Cascoon, she cannot evolve into the 1.2 meter tall Dustox by our rules. So it's gotta be Silcoon. Saline needs to evolve into Silcoon, or she's gonna be our first dead-end Pokemon. Okay, thank goodness. We can now march into outside of Roxanne's gym and kill every last one of them, because in Emerald Mini, you have to fight a gauntlet of gym trainers before taking on the leader. These battles are consecutive, meaning there is no rest in between, including right before the gym leader themselves. Fortunately, Emerald Mini does not change the gym leader's teams or their movesets, so we can take down Roxanne's entire operation just by having Alfred spin on them. He even evolves into Marshtomp after the battle. After retrieving the Devon goods from the comically narrow Rust Turf Tunnel, we are rewarded with a free Pokénav. Let me just call the Devoncorp president even though he's standing right in front of me, and we can move on with... You made a cell phone that doesn't work indoors? Are you people out of your mind? Actually, I'd probably go crazy too if I lived in mini Hoenn. Buildings are only as wide as your wingspan, and you have to use teleportation magic to fit multiple people inside even the tiniest plots of land. Building interiors are a luxury reserved for wealthy corporations, and they don't have much space to work with either. Is this world really so messed up that claustrophobia is the norm? Or are the people in this region raised in such squalor that they're simply unable to fathom the true scale of the world around them, clinging desperately to their known comfort in confinement? Oh hey Wally. His Ralts can't damage Panette whatsoever, but it can growl 5 times and then spam double team. Guess how many turns it took Panette to finish off Ralts? If you guessed 23 turns, you would be correct. Oh Panette, what would we ever do without you? We drop anchor in Doofer Town and take a detour to Granite Cave. Traversing this cave without Flash is normally a tedious task, but through the Divine Dragon all things are possible, so jot that down. While here, Saline evolves into Beautifly, Panette evolves into Mightyena, and our Granite Cave encounter turns out to be Mawile. This confirms that Emerald Mini has different encounter tables than Vanilla Emerald, since Mawile is normally only obtainable here in Pokemon Ruby. It doesn't matter though because Alfred one-shots the Mawile. Thanks, buddy. Anyway, Brawly's entire gym gets swept by Kagetsu from start to finish. It would seem that Kagetsu the Tailo is quite similar to Kagetsu the Man. I'd like to take a moment to say that if you're enjoying the video, please feel free to leave a like and comment, and also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Any and all support goes a long way for this channel, and I really appreciate the Wow, this is the saddest beach I have ever seen. Galveston, Texas would clear this place any day of the week. Actually, all of Slayport City seems to be reeling. The battle tent is out of business, the museum has a grand total of 3 exhibits, and stat boosting items are a whole 200 Poké-dollars more expensive now? No wonder nobody can afford a real house in this region. The economy is in shambles. As is Panette the Mightyena, who is quickly revealing herself to be nowhere near as powerful or reliable or cute as the real deal. She and Zelkov got into a double battle together, and Zelkov had to bust every bone in his tiny Nincada body to hard carry this fight against a Plusle and Minun. Meanwhile, Panette is sitting in the back smelling her farts and doing squat. This does not bode well for our next rival battle on Route 110, usually one of the toughest fights in an Emerald Nuzlocke. But then we remembered that our rival is Wally, so we snap all his Pokemon over our knee like twigs. Panette even caps off the battle with a clean critical hit through a double team. Perhaps she's finally starting to redeem herself. Altering Cave is next. This place was nothing but an infinite Zubat spawner in base Emerald, since the event needed to unlock its full list of encounters was never released. However, did that man just spawn out of thin air? However, in Emerald Mini, all of the event exclusive Pokemon that were meant to appear here are now available. Some of these eligible encounters include straight gas, such as Apom or Shuckle or... Not you! Fram the Zubat is officially our first dead-end Pokemon of the run, since Golbat is over the height limit. Hopefully our Route 110 encounter will be better. I hate it here. We finally arrive in Mauville City, acquire a bicycle, walk past the game corner calling out to us, and begin rummaging through the grass on Route 117. I don't have the encounter tables available for each area, but since you could find Roselia here in Vanilla Ruby and Sapphire, I'm hoping it's the same in Emerald Mini as well. Actually, I'm praying it is. We haven't recruited anyone worthwhile since Zelkov back before Roxanne's gym, and our pool of eligible encounters will dry up considerably past the mid-game. That is why I decided to get on my knees and pray. I looked up at the sky and asked Emerald Mini with a heart full of vigor to bless me and my team with divine fortune. And miraculously, Emerald Mini answered my prayers.
Dear mortal, I have heeded your call. With my holy power, I shall grant you the grass poison type Pokemon under 1 meter tall that you deserve.
Oddish. I may be in despair at getting Boucheron the Oddish, but Wally's family no longer exists in Verdant Turf, so who's really the loser here? Zelkov evolves into Ninjask, and Kagetsu evolves into Swellow after the same battle, and we also receive a living husk that probably doesn't have a functional brain that we dub Corrupted. With our team trained up, we're finally ready to take on Watson. His gym has got it all. Tough Pokemon, good matchups against our team, and in Emerald Mini, all double battles. But we've got Alfred, so that's another easy gym badge earned. Unfortunately for me, every gym from here on out is going to be beyond stressful. But I guess that's good for all you watching. After all, human suffering is the essence of good entertainment. Speaking of suffering, Trader Hill has a new place where you can EV train. We won't be utilizing this unless absolutely necessary. Alright, unlock in everyone, because we're entering the most important stretch of the run. Between now and the Safari Zone, we have several key encounter areas that will dictate the future health of this entire Nuzlocke. First, Fiery Path. Several of the Pokemon here are dead ends, and while Slugma is allowed to evolve into Magcargo by our rules, we're already guaranteed a Slugma on Route 113. That's why our ideal encounter for Fiery Path is Torkoal. That titanic defensive bulk will come in handy against Norman and Winona, so we're crossing our fingers that it's Torkoal. And it is! After Kagetsu lays down some chip damage, Alfred comes in to tank Ember, so
scatter like petals!
Never mind, Alfred crit Torkoal and knocked it out. Thanks a lot!
Buddy.
Oh well, at least it can't get any worse than that. I didn't know poison gas still worked against Wonder Guard. Since Corrupted is technically already dead, I guess this isn't that bad, right? See, it agrees. After losing one of the best Nuzlocke bonds in the entire game due to my ineptitude, I quickly filled a Shedinja-sized hole with Jade the Slugma, who sucks. She's slow, her moves are weak, and she can barely handle a suggestion, let alone a hit. The actual Jade wrote comedy novels in her spare time, but our Jade is a joke herself. Moving on to Meteor Falls, we recruit a much more useful Lunatone that we name Ivy. She must be pleased to know that her retainers Kagetsu and Zelkov are already here. The latter is moved to the bench for his liege. On Mount Chimney, Ivy shows off her terrifying power by easily dispatching Tabitha. Did that man just spawn out of thin air? Meanwhile, Maxie watches helplessly as we waterboard his Pokemon in the volcano's lava, after which we scale down Jagged Pass and encounter a Spoink. I realize the optics of giving a female engaged character's name to a bouncing pig are not great, so I'd like to formally apologize to all Goldmary fans everywhere. We soon step foot into Lava Ridge Town, where the hot springs are now off limits. Seriously, is Mini Hoenn's economy gonna be okay? Better yet, are we gonna be okay against Flannery? Our strategy, if you can even call it that, is to have Ivy deal as much damage as she can before eventually bringing in Alfred to clean up. Fortunately, Ivy manages to clear out the gym trainers with minimal health loss before she squares up against Flannery. Numel and Slugma go down pretty quickly, although the latter manages to set up Sunlight before fainting. It should be fine though, since Ivy can outspeed Camerupt and put it to sleep.
Miss.
Well, unless she misses hypnosis like that. I hope you enjoyed the heat, Ivy, because you're about to get cooked. With the sun beating down onto the battlefield, Camerupt stares down a half-health Ivy, ripe for the picking, and licks its chops. Then, without any further hesitation, it uses Tackle instead of Overheat. Now Ivy has the chance to redeem herself.
Miss.
Never mind, Ivy missed again. Now she's really dead. But Camerupt uses Tackle again for some reason? Is the harsh sunlight messing with everyone's heads or something? Ivy does not take this third chance at life for granted, finally landing a hypnosis just in time for the sunlight to fade away. Alfred is free to come in, but Camerupt wakes up immediately and uses Tackle again? Do we need to launch a federal investigation into Flannery's Camerupt? I think she might have some illegal bookies on speed dial. Alfred can secure the kill with 2 water guns even after eating a crit Tackle. That invites in Flannery's signature Torkoal, who will be able to fire off multiple full power overheats thanks to its held white herb. Alfred is not surviving even one of those, so we need someone else who can come in and take the first overheat like a champ. Quick, Jade, think fast! Huh, I guess Jade can do something after all. After Torkoal consumes its white herb, we switch in Ivy on a pitifully weak body slam. She clutches up this go-around by landing hypnosis, but now we have to face a harsh truth. Torkoal has another full power overheat locked and loaded once it wakes up, and we do not have anyone capable of taking that. Our best course of action is to have someone jump in and deal as much damage as possible so another party member can finish the job. In other words, we need a sacrifice. It's not going to be Ivy or Kagetsu, they're too valuable for later fights and are more suited for the cleanup role. As polarizing as Panette has been, she's needed later in this run as well. This would narrow it down to Saline or Jade, but they don't have any way to deal meaningful damage to the defensively stout Torkoal. No, our best bet for the job of Sacrificial Lamb is none other than our first partner and the MVP of this run so far. I'm so sorry, Alfred. Perhaps in a better world, you could finally smell the flowers in Evergrande City. I promise we'll bring you to them someday. Somehow. Alfred challenges his fate, not only critting with Mudshot, but dodging Overheat, and with one final decisive blast of Mud, he takes down Torkoal, secures us the win over Flannery, and lives to tell the tale. Holy crap, Alfred. A performance that clutch deserves a reward. Like a desert party, baby! Seriously, why are there so many people standing around here? They gotta be tailgating or something. Maybe it's because of Pandreo the Sandshrew, who just joined our team. Engaged Pandreo was a party-loving priest, so his counterpart probably probably knows a thing or two about hosting holy shindigs as well. Fun fact, the actual Pandreo and Panette are brother and sister respectively, which means that carries over to their counterparts as well. The sibling resemblance is uncanny. No, actually though, they're in the same egg group. As fun as a party in the desert might be, we have more pressing matters to worry about. First, who's gonna make room for Pandreo? Saline. Okay, but what about our daddy issue? How are we gonna beat Norman? We don't have any fighting type Pokemon on hand, and the best fighting type move available to us is Rock Smash. We could try burning or poisoning Kagetsu before the fight, activating Guts and giving him a boost in power, but we don't have Facade yet. Also, the actual Kagetsu always fights with honor, and there is no dignity in purposely injuring yourself. If Kagetsu the Swallow is gonna get statused, it's gonna be during the battle, not before, thank you very much. That means we're going to have to think outside the box. We're going to need the baby.
Let's go.
We hatched the egg from Lava Ridge Town into Tamara the Wynot. Believe it or not, she is going to play a crucial role against Norman. Kagetsu is able to clear out the Petalburg gym trainers pretty easily, but he is dinged up a bit to begin the fight against our dad. Kagetsu lands the first blow on Spinda but gets confused by Teeter Dance. I hard switch to Alfred, who also gets confused, at which point I just throw my hands up in the air and say screw it, let's see what Flower Boy has got. He does hit himself in confusion once, but Alfred is ultimately able to finish off Spinda by himself. He's not in the best shape though, and now he's staring down a speedy, powerful Vigoroth. I'm sorry to say this, Alfred, but we might need to try sacrificing you again. Unless, of course, you're willing to challenge your fate once more. Yes, he does. Vigoroth's Slash does not crit, and Alfred hits a mudshot through confusion that drops Vigoroth's speed. Time and time again, Alfred shows that he's the definition of clutch. With his work complete, Alfred tags out for Panette, who finishes off Vigoroth without issue. And would you look at the time, it's slacking o'clock. Ivy comes in to tank a Facade, and since Slacking is busy loafing around the following turn, we can bring in our adorable new team member Tamara scot-free. Now, you may be looking at this matchup and think that this is a Hydrogen Bomb versus Coughing Baby situation, but you'd be wrong. It's actually a Hydrogen Bomb versus Nuclear Baby situation. Slacking should go for Facade here since it will do more damage than Feint Attack, meaning that all Tamara has to do is survive the attack and retaliate with counter for the KO. But Slacking has countered too, so now it's a game of chicken. Will Slacking keep countering our counter with its own counter, or will it finally use a damaging move? After a single turn of staring each other down, followed by a turn of Truant, Slacking finally takes the bait and strikes. But Tamara survives Facade with exactly 1 HP, and her resulting counter cleanly one-shot Slacking. All that remains now is Norman's Linoon. Panette switches in, intimidates, then eats consecutive non-crit slashes as she whittles down her foe with Bite. It was risky keeping Panette out like this, but you must understand that I do not play around the crit plays around me. That's why when Ivy switches in, she also shrugs off a non-crit to... Don't worry though, she puts Linoon to sleep on the following turn. Kagetsu comes back in to tuck Linoon into bed, and with that, we've managed to put Norman to rest with 4 allies in the red. What an exhilarating battle. Everyone put in a ton of work, except for Jade, but Tamara really stole the show. You may not be able to evolve due to the 1 meter height rule, but I have the feeling that you've got great things ahead of you, Tamara. Keep smiling like you always do. For now though, you'll need to make way for Pandreo, who rejoins the team and promptly evolves into Sandslash. We head back to Mauville City afterward to get access to the city's electrical grid. We are not here to set up a crypto mining business. No, we're here for the most important encounter of the entire run, Magnemite. If you watched my previous video, you'd know that the magnet line can be unreliable at times, but Magnemite's electric attacks will be immensely valuable against Winona and Juan. Plus, it's the only eligible steel type that's allowed to fully evolve in this challenge. In other words, we cannot encounter Voltorb here. Voltorb is a dead end, so it's gotta be Magnemite. And it is! Ivy brings Magnemite down to around 55% HP with Confusion. Just one more should knock it down into the red, and then we...
I'll make this quick.
Ivy must have thought I said knock it out instead of knock it down. Thanks to her blunder, our remaining chances to snag an electric type are bleak. Etier the Dead End Gulpin spoiled our opportunity to snag a Plusle or Minun, and since we missed out on Volbeat, we won't be able to trade for a Plusle in Four Tree City. Other options like Electrike are dead ends, meaning our only remaining chance that we know of to acquire a viable electric type will be Pikachu at the Safari Zone. All we can do until then is wait with bated breath. Steven Stone must have noticed our sour our demeanor because he kindly gifts us a Beldum on Route 118. Unfortunately, Beldum is a dead-end Pokemon, so you only made my mood worse, Steven, thanks. Amber the Linoon does join on Route 119 to quell some of our dissatisfaction because we can finally bench Jay. Thank you for your innumerable contributions. Speaking of contributions, Panette has really started to come into her own after her early struggles. She's become distinct from the original Panette in several ways. For one, the real Panette loves eating meat, while our Panette is a strict vegan. Also, while Engaged Panette is a battering ram with high attack and HP, Panette the Mighty Hyena is a sly, swift trickster. She's got bite, she's got swagger, and she's got that dog in her, as she cooks Shelly's entire team and kicks Team Aqua out of the Weather Institute all by herself. Thus, we can finally make our way to Fortree. Sorry about that, guys. I think I stepped on something. Anyway, we can finally make our way to Fortree City and head east to train a bit. We pass by the Scorched Slab. That's what the Scorched Slab looks like now? It's puny! I've been keeping a list of things that got shafted by being scaled down, and this easily tops it. Scorched Slab? More like lukewarm pebble. Steven hears us laughing and ushers us over to the bridge, where we are forced to do battle against a wild Kecleon. Soon enough, we welcome Zephyr the Kecleon to the team. In preparation for our fight against Winona, we equip new held items and rework our movesets. Of particular note is Ivy getting Hidden Power Ice, which might come in handy later. We also take the time to train up some of the underleveled members of our team, such as Amber the Linoon, never mind, Amber's dead. That is now the second team member we have lost to a coughing this run. With Amber gone, we now have to rethink our entire strategy against one of the most challenging gym leaders in all of Hoenn. This is further exacerbated by our lackluster flying type coverage. Our only two super effective attacks belong to Ivy, HP Ice and Rock Throw. The only other rock type move she can learn, by the way, is Rock Tomb. It would have been real nice to have that Magnemite right about now, huh? Oh well, we can just bring back Tamara for another go around. Winona has so many gym trainers that her trainer gauntlet is actually split up into two halves, with a break in between where you're allowed to go heal. Thank the Divine Dragon for that, because we are so ill-equipped to handle Skarmory that Alfred nearly dies fighting the first one we see, and Tamara has to come in to handle the second one. And remember, Winona has a Skarmory too, yay! The second half of the trainer gauntlet is relatively smoother sailing. Kagetsu actually got so much XP from those trainers that he's now grossly overleveled, but both he and Pernette are dinged up pretty badly to begin the fight against Winona. It should be risky keeping a low health Kagetsu on the field, even against a Swablu, but he's never seen a fight he hasn't liked. Winona sends out Tropius next, who could kill Kagetsu here with Aerial Ace, but there's also a good chance to just click Solar Beam instead. Sure enough, it does go for Solar Beam, but it never gets it off as Kagetsu topples the Banana Dino with back-to-back wing attacks. Pelipper is up next, and Kagetsu finally bows out from the Flower Prince. Alfred switches in on a Water Gun without much issue, then puts on his Carry Pants. Alfred dodges one Supersonic and hits Surf. He dodges a second Supersonic and hits Surf again. Pelipper gets off consecutive protects, but Alfred dodges a third Supersonic afterward and hits another Surf. Then he dodges a fourth Supersonic and hits yet another Surf. I was just planning to have Alfred do a little bit of chip damage until he inevitably got confused, but he somehow managed to force Winona to burn a Hyper Potion. He does finally get confused by the fifth Supersonic though, and while he's able to hit another Surf through the confusion, we need to conserve as much of Alfred's HP as we can to take on Skarmory later. So for now, Alfred can take a much needed break. That allows us to bring in Pantreo. Water Gun does take him below half health, but because he's holding an Oran Berry, he takes himself out of KO range, barring a crit. Pantreo outspeeds the following turn and hits a Slash, which does not secure the kill. Fortunately, Pelipper misses another Supersonic, allowing Pandreo to right his wrongs. We may need to investigate Winona's Pelipper alongside Flannery's Camerupt. It comes to that dastardly Skarmory, who will require a full team effort to take down. First, Panette subs in for her brother and intimidates Skarmory, weakening its incoming Steel Wing. Panette consumes her Oran Berry, then tags out for Alfred. He eats a Sand Attack on the switch in, but that's better than getting hit. Skarmory's -1 attack is apparent as Aerial Ace does little damage, while Alfred's Surf gets a low damage roll, not even bringing Scarm below half health. On the following turn, a critical hit Aerial Ace brings Alfred to his knees, and his retaliatory Surf misses out on the kill. Winona heals Skarmory back to full health, beginning phase 2 of the evil Steel Bird boss fight. Alfred once again uses, you guessed it, Surf, which gets a high damage roll this time and knocks Skarm into the yellow. Alright Alfred, you're gonna need to eat one more meaty hit, and if you survive, you should be able to clean up Skarmory afterward. We've already seen you rise to the occasion time and time again, so I have no doubts you'll do it again here. Go get him, Alfred. Alfred survives Aerial Ace with exactly 8 HP remaining. Once again, he's proven himself as the most clutch member of our team.
He eats a sand attack on the switch in, but that's better than getting hit.
Okay, don't panic yet, this is still salvageable. Alfred tags out for Ivy, who takes a super effective Steel Wing, but it's okay because she hit Hypnosis the following turn. But then I mistakenly click Rock Throw instead of Confusion, then Skarmory wakes up immediately and uses Steel Wing again to bring Ivy down to the red. Okay, now it's panic time. Ivy's on her last non-existent legs. Alfred and Kagetsu are too injured to re-enter the fight right now. Pandreo has nothing to break through Skarmory's +1 defense, and we have to keep Tamara as healthy as possible to handle Altaria. This means our last line of defense against this brutal Skarmory is the one team member who's been working tirelessly to redeem herself, Panette. Intimidate ensures the incoming Steel Wing does next to nothing, and all dark type moves are special in Generation 3, so Bite will hit Skarmory on its weaker special defense. Unfortunately, the damage is still not that great, and Skarm goes for a sand attack, dropping our accuracy. We're now entering real dangerous territory. One missed bite from Panette or a critical hit from Skarm could not only spell the end for our canine companion, but snowball into this entire run ending.
I shall strike thee down!
But we don't have to worry about a straight crit if Skarmory flinches. Panette follows up her clutch flinch with another bite, sealing the Steel Bird's fate and getting us out of the biggest logjam imaginable. I take back any doubts I've ever had about you, Panette. You're the real deal. That just leaves Winona's Altaria. It's finally time for Tamara to take the field, where she tanks an Earthquake and does not fall below half HP. Because Altaria's Earthquake is its hardest hitting move, we can now confirm that a counter from Tamara would not KO Altaria. It would bring Winona's ace down to the red, triggering a heal and rendering Tamara's efforts completely useless. With counter and Mirror Coat off the table and everyone else unable to switch in safely, there's only one option left. Our time together was brief, but I enjoyed every second of it, Tamara. Remember how you took down Norman's big scary slacking all on your own? That moment of triumph isn't so different from what's about to happen. After all, even now, you're still smiling. Hey, you know what time it is? That's right, it's fishing time! As a certified fishing minigame connoisseur, I am uniquely qualified to say that Pokemon Emerald's fishing mechanics are kinda bad, but we need to put aside our frivolous video game opinions for now to retrace our steps, and fish up a Magikarp on Route 109 and a Goldeen in Petalburg City. Why are we wasting our time adding these dead-end fishes to the end of the bench? Because we need to whittle down the encounter pool for us to guarantee a specific Pokemon on Route 114. Barboach. Lapis joins our party and promptly evolves into the 0.9 meter tall Whiscash. Lapis's excellent typing and good bulk will be invaluable as we enter the late game. Unfortunately, this also means that Alfred will have to give up his long tenured spot on the team. His lesser stats and inability to evolve just aren't gonna cut it any longer. Even with all of his past blunders, I think Alfred deserves a nice long rest for all the good he's contributed to this run. Enjoy, buddy. I'll make sure to pull you out of retirement for a bit once we reach Evergrande City. In the meantime, we arrive at Lily Cove City where, I'm sorry, but this has gotta be the saddest department store I've ever seen. And it's not because of Wally standing outside for us to dunk on him again. The work conditions here are awful and there's no elevator in this 5-story building, meaning all of the inventory has to be moved up and down the stairs. Again, I would not be surprised if the entire mini Hoenn region was in a perpetual socio-economic crisis. I spent 10 minutes of my life making Pokeblocks with an old man because we're gonna need these treats for the Safari Zone. That's right everyone, It's Pikachu time. The Hoenn Safari Zone has an exploit that involves placing one type of Pokeblock in these feeders and then following a series of steps based on which Pokemon you're hunting for. By doing everything correctly, you can ensure the wild Pokemon will be unable to flee, allowing you to capture it easily. Why do we need to go this far just to catch a single Pikachu? Because the Safari Zone will be our last chance to snag a decent electric type for the rest of this run. Pikachu will be allowed to evolve into Raichu if we get it, but if we don't, we will have no surefire answers against Hoenn, and also our matchup against Glacial will become exponentially harder. It's not as simple as following the steps either. Pikachu appears in Zone 1 of the Safari Zone, but even removing duplicate encounters, we still run the risk of running into Natu instead, who is a dead-end Pokemon. Plus, we're not factoring in the likelihood of Emerald Mini adding more possible encounters to this patch of grass. Either way, once we put that Pokeblock in the feeder and step into the grass, we want to see Pikachu. It's gotta be Pikachu, alright? Here we go. It was never meant to be. An electric type Pokemon will never lend their strength to the Divine Dragon's army. We just have to accept our fate and add a dead-end Natu to our bench. At least I'm guaranteed this catch by following the guide. What more do you want from me? Yay, Mount Pyre, yay, submarine hijacking, yay, Team Magma hideout. Actually, I am legitimately excited to visit the hideout for two main reasons. First, we are finally able to catch a Torkoal that we nicknamed Linden. Secondly, and more importantly, the guy who's burning off his left ear beside the lava pool is still an Emerald Mini, baby, let's go. The fight against Maxie is nothing more than a footnote, as is the entire Team Aqua hideout. The real issue we have to worry about resides in Moss Deep City. Two children. I ultimately decide that Panette and Lapis should lead us into battle against Tate and Liza. Panette's dark typing will make her invaluable against the plethora of psychic types, and Lapis can hit 3 of Tate and Liza's 4 Pokemon super effectively with Surf. We won't need to worry about damaging Panette either, because Surf only hits foes in Generation 3, and Lapis won't ever click Earthquake because all of Tate and Liza's Pokemon are immune to ground type moves. As for the rest of the squad, the usual suspects are here. Ivy, Kagetsu, and Zephyia. I haven't mentioned her much, but Zephyia has actually been putting in a lot of work since joining the team. Her naturally high special defense will make her a useful pivot in this fight. For our last spot on the team, we're making a change. Pandreo can't hit Solrock or Lunatone for anything substantial, and having a backup water type for this fight would be wise. So we're temporarily bringing an old favorite out of retirement. Welcome back to the team, Alfred. Before we can fight Tate and Liza, however, we have to go through another trainer gauntlet, this time consisting entirely of double battles. Fortunately, we get free healing after every fight, which means stress-free EXP for us. Before long, it's time to take on the twins. Now, allow me to ask you all something real quick. Y'all ever seen someone use Snatch before? Panette opens the battle by reading Xatu like a book, snatching Calm Mind to give herself the special attack and special defense boost instead. Lapis's Surf does decent damage to both foes, and Cladle's Earthquake does decent damage to us. Xatu might attempt to set up Light Screen or go for Confuse Ray, so Panette uses Taunt. However, Xatu outspeeds Panette and hits Lapis with Confuse Ray before getting taunted. Fortunately, Lapis is able to surf through the confusion, and Cladle's Earthquake once again takes out a chunk of our HP. On the next turn, Lapis eats Psychic like a champ and once again breaks through confusion to hit another Surf, knocking out Cladle. Panette's Bite rips through Xatu, meaning we've taken out half of Tate and Liza's team without allowing a single healing potion to sniff the field. That just leaves Solrock and Lunatone. Lapis is too low to fight any longer, so we switch her out for Zephyia. Meanwhile, Panette taunts Solrock to prevent Sunny Day. Lunatone's Psychic brings Zephyia to just above half HP, but as for Solrock, it played us bad. It forgoes setting the sun completely and instead charges up a Solar Beam, which means someone is gonna get shellacked next turn. On that next turn, a bite from Panette brings Solrock down to the red, and Solar Beam is thankfully directed at Zephyia, who takes the hit remarkably well. Lunatone gets off a Calm Mind, which is not great in the long term, but is perfect for right now because it means Zephyia can scrounge up just enough of her remaining HP to set up a substitute. Even more miraculously, Solrock's held Citrus Berry is consumed, bringing it out of the AI's Hyper Potion threshold. As a result, Panette is able to secure the kill on Solrock with a bite, and while Lunatone breaks Sephia's sub, it doesn't matter anymore. The only attacking move that Lunatone has is Psychic, meaning we can bring in our own Lunatone to wall them out. Together with Ivy and the undisputed MVP of this fight, Panette, we knock the moon out of the sky and secure our 7th gym badge. That might have been my best played fight of the entire run so far, which is why I followed that up with my dumbest mistake of the entire run so far. At the Space Center, we have to team up with Steven to take down Maxie and Tabitha. However, I accidentally bring Kagetsu, and only Kagetsu, into this now 4v6 multi-battle. A potentially catastrophic run-ending mistake that actually wasn't so bad after all, because Steven's Matang hard carries the entire battle for us. It also helps that Maxie and Tabitha were allergic to using any rock or fire type moves whatsoever. Maybe they were in awe of Kagetsu's honorable ways, or maybe they're just idiots, they are Team Magma. We rip through the ocean floor en route to Seafloor Cavern, where Ivy and Lapis take turns giving Archie's entire team a swirly right in front of Kyogre. Groudon and Kyogre meet up in the middle of Sutopolis to discuss how badly I whooped each of the evil team leaders, but they're a bit too loud, so we have to ask Rayquaza to come over and tell them to quiet down. With the fate of the world secured, we can worry about real issues now, like how we're gonna earn our final gym badge. We have no electric type Pokemon, so our only decent option to check Juan's water types is Boucheron the Oddish. Remember him? He was the guy who blocked us from getting Roselia. Boucheron is allowed to evolve into Gloom, but he cannot evolve into Vileplume due to the height rule. And Gloom sucks, which means we're gonna have to keep searching for something, anything that can help us beat Juan. Holy crap, I forgot about Blossom. I literally wrote down every possible encounter for this run, but I somehow forgot to add Blossom to that list. And while Vileplume is taller than 1 meter, Blossom is shorter than both of its pre-evolutions. Our answer to Juan has been sitting on the bench this whole time and we just never noticed until now. Call that Divine Dragon luck or my own sheer incompetence. Either way, we can begin to set our plan into motion. Boucheron has not seen a lick of use up until this point, so we can fully customize his EV spread. Through rigorous training at Trainer Hill, we give him 252 special attack, 228 special defense, and 28 speed EVs. The speed EVs will allow Boucheron to outrun Juan's Kingdra under the sun with Chlorophyll. He will also be the one setting the sun up using Sunny Day. The rest of its moveset consists of Solar Beam, Sleep Powder, and Hidden Power. In another stroke of Divine Dragon luck, Boucheron's Hidden Power turns out to be Fire type, meaning it'll also get a boost in power under the sun. It's honestly a miracle as to how perfectly Boucheron has alleviated all of our worries. Of course, that will all depend on whether he can actually perform in the big battle. Before that, we need to handle Juan's gym trainers. Like Winona's gym, there are 2 separate gauntlets of trainers we must defeat, with a rest break allowed in between. However, it begins raining at the start of the second gauntlet, and this rain persists into our battle against leader Juan. Since Kagetsu was the one leading the way into the second trainer gauntlet, he is the one who leads off against Juan's love disc. He's not in the best shape, having moved heaven and earth just to get us here without any damage on any other team member. So it should come as a surprise that I decide to keep Kagetsu out on turn 1. That is because Kagetsu is male. That means Juan's love disc goes for attract instead of a damaging move, and since Kagetsu is already married to the grind, he shrugs off infatuation to nail love disc with a facade. It drops to the red, so Juan wastes a turn using a hyper potion, allowing Boucheron to safely hit the field. Since it's still raining, love disc moves first. Water Pulse does next to nothing, and the sun comes out soon after, which means it's time for Boucheron to annihilate Juan's entire team. Solar Beam rips through Love Disc, Celio, and even Kingdra with ease. The sunlight eventually fades, but setting it back up is as easy as shooting fish in a barrel, or in this case blasting Whiscash and Crawdaunt with Solar Beams as we earn our 8th and final gym badge on the back of a Boucheron sweep. After spending some time exploring the sea and checking out Pacificlog's affordable housing, we finally arrive at Evergrande City. Of course, we let Alfred out for a bit so he can admire the flowers he's always dreamed of. However, another relic of the past has also emerged for one final dance amongst the petals. If it isn't our supposed rival, you've been quite the pushover, Wally, but I'm willing to entertain you one last time. Wait, why is this music playing for Wally of all people? No, it's fine, I just didn't think it would be Chinese is all. The battle begins with Ivy putting Altaria to sleep, but before she can tuck Altaria into bed, Wally switches into Lapras, who eats the hidden power ice like a tasty popsicle. I switch in Boucheron expecting a water type move, but Wally hard switches again, this time into his Gengar. Alright, this group green-haired dork isn't messing around. We're gonna have to lock in, fellows. Ivy comes back in on a missed hypnosis, swallows a shadow ball, and KOs Gengar in one hit with a crit psychic. Lapras is back now, which means Boucheron is too. This time Lapras does go for a water type move, which gives Boucheron the chance to set up Sunlight. Boucheron is able to make Lapras go extinct with Solar Beam. Unfortunately, this invites in Wally's new Houndoom, who greatly appreciates the Sunlight we set up for it. This may be an extremely risky, probably stupid play, but if Boucheron stays in and lands a Sleep Powder, we could get a safer switch in for Lapis. Screw it, what do we have to lose? Boucheron successfully puts Houndoom to sleep, allowing Lapis to switch in safely. Or so it would seem, as Houndoom immediately wakes up and lands a moderately powerful flamethrower. Still, barring disaster, Lapis should be able to just click Earthquake and continue snowballing this fight in our favor. Houndoom does move first, but that shouldn't... well, that's not ideal. As a result of Lapis's attack stat being halved by the burn, Earthquake fails to secure the KO. The Sunlight fades, but now we're suddenly on the back foot as Lapis is no longer safe to stay in. While Wally heals Houndoom back to full, we put Zephyia onto the field. Flamethrower does do a considerable chunk of damage, but not enough to stop Zephyia from setting up a substitute. Our plan here is to let Zephyia tack on some chip damage so that someone else can come in to finish the job.
What a nuisance.
Never mind then, Zephyia can handle it herself. Rhydon enters the battle next, and we correctly predict the Earthquake, allowing Kagetsu to hit the field, and okay, what now? Kagetsu needs to get out of here right now before he gets rocks dropped onto his head, and everyone else on the team is either too low or doesn't have enough defense to switch into Rhydon's powerful attacks. Well, except for one team member. Panette hits the field, intimidating Rhydon and thus softening the incoming rock slide considerably. Still, even with Crunch hitting on the special side, I don't think it can do much meaningful damage. We might have to face reality and sack someone after all, unless we can get another helping of that Divine Dragon luck somehow. But I just don't see that happening here.
Let's have some fun!
Panette, you beautiful beast of a battler! Crunch gets a clutch special defense drop, allowing Panette to take out Rhydon the following turn with another Crunch. To say Panette has been the MVP of the late game so far would be an understatement. She may have just saved the entire run all by herself. Wally sends out Altaria again, but at this point, any and all challengers to Panette are liable to get absolutely humiliated. On turn 1, Panette snatches Dragon Dance right from out under Altaria's nose, and on turn 2, Panette's increased speed allows her to taunt Altaria before it can use Mist. Do your ankles still work, Altaria, or did Panette just break them by crossing you up so badly? Kagetsu takes the field against the humiliated Altaria, who finally catches a break as its Dragon Breath does a good amount of damage and paralyzes Kagetsu. Much like how a Victorian-era child would go crazy after eating a single Dorito chip, Kagetsu gets his first taste of guts-boosted Facade and enters an adrenaline-fueled fugue state. He turns Altaria into a fine powder, bringing in Wally's final Pokemon. Gardevoir attempts to look into the future for an answer, but it's too late, because Kagetsu finishes the job and we officially beat Wally for the final time. After clearing out Victory Road, we arrive at... the Poverty League. Seriously, y'all can't even afford countertops in here? Despite their shaky financial situation, the Pokemon League has one last devastating trick up their sleeve that will spike this run's difficulty into the stratosphere. In Emerald Mini, the Elite Four must be fought consecutively. That means we're going to have to beat Sydney, Phoebe, Glacia, and Drake back to back to back to back without any chance to heal in between battles. Not only will we have to construct the perfect team to take them all on, but we'll need to conserve as much HP as possible between each fight if we hope to stand even a ghost of a chance. I crunched way too many numbers trying to figure out our optimal squad, but after much deliberation, moveset retooling, and even some last minute EV training, I managed to settle on our final team. 6 of the Divine Dragon's strongest soldiers who will band together to topple Hoenn's Pokemon League. First up is Panette the Mighty Ina, obviously. Her Intimidate, utility moves, held Lax Incense, and proven track record of being the best thing since sliced bread make her a no-brainer to lead off every battle against the Elite Four. Kagetsu the Swellow was another obvious pick. Now that he's had a taste of Guts boosted, Silk Scarf boosted Facade, he can't get enough, so he'll be entering the Elite Four pre-burned. Ivy the Lunatone seems like a weird pick due to her subpar type matchups against the Elite Elite Four, but you can't say no to a decently fast Hypnosis user holding a Quick Claw. Also, Hidden Power Ice is our only answer to any dragon types we fight. Pandreo the Sand Slash wasn't gonna let his sister take on the Elite Four without him, so he's back on the team. He's holding a Shell Bell and will be our blanket Sydney check thanks to his newly learned Brick Break. Lapis the Wishcash has traded her Sea Incense for a tasty Chesto Berry and will provide an extra bit of survivability through Resto Chesto, as well as her usual Surfquake shenanigans. And for our final team member, we've got a pick from out of left field. Lyndon the Torkoal has undergone rigorous leveling and EV training to graduate from the bench to the final roster. He'll be crucial for some of the later Elite Four members. And that's our team of 6. This does unfortunately mean that Zephyr and Boucheron will have to watch from the sideline, but they'll be fine. They can join Alfred and everyone else we've recruited throughout the run to cheer us on as we finally take on the Elite Four. First up is Sydney, who we currently dwarf in terms of levels, but still can't underestimate. Panette and the opposing Mighty Yena exchange handshakes, then Pandreo comes out on a sand attack. Still, he cleanly carves through Mighty Yena with a single Brick Break. However, Pandreo isn't strong enough to secure 1-hit KOs against every member of Sydney's team, and that unfortunately includes his Crawdaunt. After protecting against Crawdaunt's Surf, Pandreo tags in for Lapis. Crawdaunt goes for a Sword Stance, which would be scary, except for the fact that its only 2 physical attacks are Strength and an unboosted Facade. 2 Earthquakes are enough to pulverize the crab into a nice tender meat. Cacturn invites itself into the battle next, which in turn invites in our very own Lyndon. Cacturn starts to panic the moment it sees Lyndon hit the field as it misses a Cotton Spore, then throws up the proverbial white flag by just using Leech Seed before getting roasted by Flamethrower. Absol comes in next, so Pandreo switches in, fortunately on a Sword Stance. He outspeeds the following turn, securing a 1-hit KO with Brick Break. All that's left is Shiftry, whose only attacking move is the Psychic type Extra Sensory. Thus, we can keep Pandreo out.
Time to party!
And he crits for good measure. Sydney down, 3 more to go. No time to get comfy though, because we're immediately thrown into the next battle against Phoebe. Panette leads off against the first of Phoebe's Dusclopsies, and after taunting into a Protect on turn 1, gets off the taunt on the following turn, halting a potentially dangerous Confuse Ray. Panette then takes a nice big chomp out of Dusclops, knocking it out in 1 hit. Panette 1 also goes down in 1 blow, while Phoebe's Sableye has nothing in its bag of tricks to stop what's starting to look like a Panette sweep.
I'll beat you to a pulp!
Oh yeah, she's in her element. Panette 2 is another quick and easy job, and while Phoebe's final Dusclops is finally able to leave a scratch on Panette, it's too little too late. Panette has single-handedly swept Phoebe, securing us consecutive win number 2. That's the easy part out of the way. Now we need to fight Glacia, who poses a massive challenge with her ice types. The first Celio doesn't have any water type moves, which is why we can switch in Ivy as Celio sets up the hail. Believe it or not, Ivy's Psychic does more damage than a super effective rock throw. We're able to topple Celio 1 with back-to-back Psychics, inviting in Glalie number 1. Ivy sets up a Reflect, while Glalie uses Icy Wind, revealing itself as the one that knows Light Screen and Crunch. It uses Light Screen on the following turn, meaning Psychic can't even bring it down to half HP. We're able to predict a Crunch by switching into Pandreo, although it does crit. However, Pandreo still smashes through that Light Screen and sends Glalie all the way back to Shoal Cave. Time for Celio number 2. This one also lacks water type moves, but we waste a turn using Protect only for our Reflect to wear off. Time for Torkoal then. Lyndon eats a Blizzard on the switch in, but fortunately, Celio just goes for Hail the next turn, allowing us to rip a Flamethrower. Due to Celio's thick fat ability, it doesn't even lose half of its HP. Our best bet is to burn Celio's 3 remaining Blizzard PP, which is why we go for Protect. But nope, Celio uses Attract instead. I switch into Ivy thinking it's another Attract, but it's Blizzard this time, which combined with the Hail Chip knocks Ivy down to 8 HP. Things are quickly spiraling out of control, right? Wrong, we got Glacia right where we want her. Blizzard number 4 hits Lyndon as he switches in yet again, while the final Blizzard gets protected, meaning Celio is all out of ice type attacks. Plus the hail stops, meaning Celio has to waste a turn getting it back up while Kagetsu finally takes the field. Guts boosted, Silk Scarf boosted Facade is so powerful that Kagetsu is able to turn the rest of this stressful fight into a cakewalk. He obliterates Celio 2, Glalie 2, and even Walrein, securing us the win over Glacia. We are now just one Elite Four member away from a sweet break. All that remains is Drake, right? Nah, didn't you hear? Kendrick eviscerated him. That's why the final Elite Four member in Emerald Mini is someone else entirely. The Jotonian Steel-type specialist, Jasmine. I already knew this surprise beforehand as I was preparing the team, which is why the likes of Pandreo and Linden ended up making the final cut. Jasmine leads off with Aggron, who gets intimidated by Panette. We hard switch to Lapis, but Aggron roars her out, dragging in Panette again. Alright, that's 2 intimidates now. We switch into Lapis again, but Aggron roars her out again for Panette again. Okay. We switch into Lapis for a 3rd time, and Aggron also roars for a 3rd time. Unfortunately, Panette is not dragged in for a 3rd time. Rather, her brother hits the field and topples Aggron with a single earthquake. Next up is Scizor. Unlike the other Elite Four members, I don't know what Jasmine's Pokemon can throw at us, but since this is a Scizor, I'm assuming Bug and Steel type attacks. That means Pandreo will be free to stay in and keep the party going. Earthquake brings Scizor below half HP and... Pandreo, no! This marks the 2nd time in channel history that I've lost a team member to counter at the Elite Four now. But this one was completely preventable. We literally have Linden in the back for this exact moment. What a stupid, careless play by me, and poor Pandreo paid the price for it. Man, Panette's gonna be inconsolable. Lapis forces herself onto the battlefield in a fit of grieving rage, getting up a substitute that Scizor is unable to break. From there, the battle is basically over. Scizor gets surfed, Mawile gets quaked, Magneton gets quaked, and Steelix gets washed away as Lapis takes down Jasmine in honor of our fallen companion. The Elite Four has been vanquished, and we're finally allowed to heal our ailing team. Though Pandreo is no longer with us in this world physically, his spirit will remain by our side as we confront our final adversary, the Pokemon League champion, Wallace. Ah, psych, gotcha again, haha. Jasmine wasn't the only curveball, because Emerald Mini has one final trick up its sleeve. Please turn your attention to the new champion of Hoenn. Zinnia. It doesn't matter who the champion is to us though, because by the Divine Dragon's might, we'll win no matter what. Kagetsu wastes no time by one-shotting Exploud to start the final battle, then smacking aside Ampharos too for good measure. Unfortunately, any momentum we've built up is vaporized instantly by an incoming sandstorm. Zinnia's Tyranitar has taken the field, forcing Kagetsu out for Lapis. She eats a rock slide on the switch-in and sets up a substitute on the following turn, which Cheetar breaks through immediately with Crunch. Lapis does eventually manage to fell the Titan, but she's beaten and battered. Also keep in mind a sandstorm set up by the Sandstream ability will persist permanently until another weather replaces it in Generation 3. In other words, chip damage will be a factor throughout the remainder of this fight. Altaria comes in and oh my god, I'm so tired of seeing this stupid bird this run. Ivy, freeze its balls. Gyarados is up next, so Panette switches in and intimidates while Gyarados misses a Hydro Pump. Alright, that's great. It means we can stall out Hydro Pump PP with good play. Panette stays in on Hydro Pump number 2, which does connect this time and drops her below half. Crunch does a nice chunk of damage in response, and now it's time to get risky. Everyone else is already in potential KO range from another Hydro Pump, so we gotta switch in our only remaining party member at full HP. Thanks to his 6 special defense EVs, Linden survives Hydro Pump number 3 and protects against Hydro Pump number 4. Unfortunately, the fun ends here. We need a clean switch in to secure the Gyarados kill, which means our plan here is to have Linden attempt a consecutive protect. If he gets it off, great. That'll be Gyarados' last Hydro Pump and we can bring in someone else to finish the job. But if protect fails, Linden is as good as dead. Well, I guess that's goodbye to you, Linden. By sheer Divine Dragon luck, Gyarados' final Hydro Pump misses, sparing Linden's life. Even as Sandstorm beats down on his old aching body, Linden is able to stay in one more turn to get off a protect, allowing us to scout out Gyarados' Hyper Beam. This lets Ivy come in on the next Hyper Beam and finish off Gyarados with ease. I guess this is why people say you should respect your elders, because Linden now has my utmost appreciation. That just leaves one final Pokemon, Zinnia's Salamence. After all the hours spent on this wild wild ride of a journey, all that remains between us and the end is a mighty dragon. I guess this really is a Fire Emblem game after all. The thing is, Zinnia's Salamence is dumb. We stay in with Ivy to scout out what it's got, and it uses Earthquake on our levitating moon. That's a free HP ice in response. Then on the following turn, Salamence goes for Fly, which just delays the inevitable. With one final hidden power, we will finally conquer Emerald Mini. Salamence descends from the sky, slamming into Ivy with everything it has left, and Ivy survives with 18 HP, and with a
Bear witness.
decisive critical hit, Ivy takes down Zinnia's Salamence and wins us the final battle. We haven't just become Pokemon League champions, we've officially managed to beat Emerald Mini using only Pokemon 1 meter tall or under. Thank you to everyone who helped make this journey possible. Panette, Kagetsu, Ivy, Lapis, Linden, Pendreo, Boucheron, Zephia, Alfred, Tamara, and of course you, the viewer. I hope you enjoyed watching this Nuzlocke just as much as I did experiencing it firsthand. Also, big thanks to King Crady for making this ROM hack. Now then, before I sign off, why is that audio so big? But before I sign off, I want you all to take away something important from this tale of adversity, heartbreak, and ultimate triumph. I want you all to go buy Fire Emblem Engage on the Nintendo Switch.